Hi, I'm Keith McEvoy, CEO of Success That Works and founder of SuperCharge Academy. What we're going to talk about today is actually self-esteem. So self-esteem is something we're all told that, listen, you need to build your self-esteem because the more self-esteem you get, the better you feel and the better it works. Well, in case you haven't guessed from the title, that's wrong. It's not true. It's not true at all. The problem with what we're told about self-esteem, it's got a very fatal flaw. So if you are one of these people who believes I've got to build my self-esteem, I've got to be more powerful, more successful, it's all about me and getting better and believing in myself more, well, I've got some news for you. This is something you need to really pay close attention to because this could actually solve and sort out a lot of your stress and anxiety and maybe even depression issues. So what is self-esteem, first of all? Self-esteem is what we've been told that we should be looking for. It's thrown in there with self-confidence and banded around. And self-esteem, it's nothing more than, I'm proud of myself. I like what it is I'm doing. I'm essentially better than other people. That's what self-esteem actually boils down to. It says that, well, I'm doing well for myself. I have a car that's better than other people's cars. I have a wife or a spouse that's better than other people's. I have a house that's better than other people's. I have more friends, more than other people. I have a higher salary, more salary than other people. I have a job title, a better job title than other people. So self-esteem is all about comparing yourself to other people and comparing yourself favorably to other people. Now here's the big problem with this, in case you haven't spotted it, is you can never always be better than other people. And if you don't believe me, let's take it to the extremes. Let's take it to an example that I think you'll relate to straight away. So let's talk about the top sports stars, right? The Usain Bolts of the world, the top NBA players. So they spend their whole lives basically building up their self-esteem, or hopefully not building up the self-esteem, but getting to a place where they are the best in the world. Usain Bolt, he has run the fastest 100 meters, faster than anyone else. And he got there through determination and sheer willpower and training and dedication, all of those great things. Now, if he has built his whole world on self-esteem, being better than everyone in his own mind, I'm better than everyone else in this 100 meters, well, he's got a big problem coming up. Because guess what happens to every single sports star? Once they progress past a certain age, well, their body starts deteriorating. All of a sudden, they're no longer better than everyone at this thing that they've staked their whole life at. Right? So Usain Bolt, it's no news to him, I suppose. Hopefully he's figured this one out. But within the next 3 or 4 or 5 years, he will not be the fastest man in the world anymore. There will be someone else there. And if his whole self-esteem is based on being the fastest man in the world, he's in for a lot of trouble. And the great thing about sports stars, the horrible thing about sports stars, is there's been a lot of study on this area. And that's exactly what happens. Most sports stars go through this building themselves up and getting better and better and better and better than everyone. They get to the top and then, whoosh, so depression kicks in, they lose their marriages, all of those personal problems kick in, the stress, the anxiety, they just lose their place in the world because they no longer have what it was that they were building for. They're no longer better than everyone else. And that is the fatal flaw of self-esteem. And if you are one of these people who is building your self-esteem about where you sit in the office, what your status symbol is, how much money you make, then you're in for the same flaw. Because get this, you will never ever be better than everyone else at everything. It is not going to happen. And as soon as you get better than everyone else at something, guess what? There's other people who are going to outperform you, and that might be completely out of your control how they do it. So it is going to happen. So you need to get your mind straight. Self-esteem, if you're focused on self-esteem, you will have a massive fall. You will be experiencing more stress, more anxiety than you should be. So what can you do about it? That's the big question. If you're not focused on self-esteem, what is the right thing to do? Well, there's a very closely related thing to self-esteem, and it's actually called self-awareness or self-compassion. So I'll just write it up for you. Now, what's self-compassion? Hang on, this sounds airy-fairy. Okay? Keith, what are you on about? You're a leader. You're supposed to be talking about real stuff. Self-compassion is real stuff. Self-compassion is so real. So in all the teams I've ever had, the difference between teams that were focused on self-esteem, getting better than each other, competing around the meeting table, who can get their voice in, who can get my attention more, who can come up with the best idea, better than everyone else's idea. These teams, lots of stress, lots of anxiety, lots of trouble, not performing very well. The guys who had self-compassion, they weren't competing for themselves. They were actually throwing out the same ideas, the same thoughts. They're working the same hardness, but they were doing it from a different perspective, because self-compassion is all about knowing who you are and accepting who you are. And that's what we're going to go through right here. Self-compassion is being man enough or woman enough to actually face up to the fact that you're not going to be better than everyone else. So you need to start being compassionate with yourself. You need to start liking yourself. Warts, failures, everything. You need to love yourself. Yeah, absolutely love yourself. Those little things, those inadequacies, you know, you're standing up in front of an audience and you keep stuttering and moaning and you're not quite getting it right. That's you. That's just who you are, right? So live with it, learn with it, love it, and yeah, you can get better. But don't start comparing yourself to other people. He's better, he can do this better. I am going to overtake him. No, you're just going to focus on yourself. You are going to get better, right? But you're going to get better for yourself because you love yourself, right? Not because you're comparing yourself to other people. Yeah? So focus on yourself, focus on bettering yourself, focus on living with your failures, focus on improving yourself, right? But do it for yourself, not to go and be better than someone else. The second one is, best friend. Yeah, what do I mean by that? Okay, so say your best friend is running this high impact project and he's putting all of his effort into it. He's up late at night, he's working really hard on it. And then it just goes wrong. There's something he overlooked and the project goes wrong. Everyone's shouting at him. He's lost $1 million because of this obvious mistake that he could have done. So what do you do as the best friend? What do you do? Do you start shouting at him, saying, I know you're my best friend, but what you did was wrong and you should have copped that. That's not what you do. He's your best friend. What do you do is you say, whoa, let's have a look at that. What happened? Oh yeah, that's what happened. Oh, how are you feeling? Are you okay? How are you going to get through this? How are you going to take the next step? How are you going to learn from this? What happens if you try this, this, and this next time? Can you recover it? How do you start doing that? You're going to work with your best friend to build them back up again and get them ready so that when they hit this again, they will absolutely smash it. They will never make this problem again. But with ourselves, I don't know about you, but me, I find myself beating myself up the whole time. I say things like, how on earth could you have been so stupid? Would you ever say that to your best friend? Would you ever go and absolutely crush them at their lowest point? Of course you wouldn't. Of course, even your enemies you don't do. But to ourselves, we seem to give ourselves carte blanche to just go and say the most horrible things to ourselves, right? Enough. Start treating yourself as your best friend. When you start saying something to yourself or you hear that little mind buzzing away, stop and ask yourself, would I say this to my best friend? And if the answer is no, well then what would you say? Say that to yourself instead. And you will automatically start feeling better for it. And guess what? You will become so much better, so much quicker. Now, there's absolutely no point killing yourself, just like there's no point killing your best friend. They're a waste of time. And the last one is be realistic. Okay? Realistic in two ways. The first one is the really obvious one. Okay, we all tend to think we're worse than we actually are. When we do something bad, it's like, oh, this is terrible. I can't believe I did it. Well, newsflash, you're human. You are absolutely human. Right? We're all human, and humans make mistakes. Humans do stupid things. Humans have faults. Humans, they say the most daft things at the wrong time. Okay? That's just what we do. It's part of being human. Okay, so we make daft mistakes. And the thing about being realistic is we've got to realize that sometimes we do things and we think this is the end of the world. Well, actually, it's probably not. It's probably it's a bit uncomfortable and maybe it's a bit embarrassing and maybe our pride has taken a bit of a dent. Pride, by the way, is heavily linked to self-esteem. You can start seeing the link, can't you? So it takes a bit of a dent, but actually it's not the end of the world. And some of the things that we think we're bad at, maybe our time management is, we've got problems with it. But that doesn't mean you can't go and get something done. And being realistic to say, well, actually my time management skills on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm not 10, but actually if I have to get something done, I'll get it done. Well, that means you're not a 2, you're actually probably more around a 6. So stop pretending you're a 2 and realize you're a 6. And the reverse also works. So it's quite often, if you ask, actually there's a great survey in the US around driving, and they asked everyone, how good a driver are you? Are you better or worse than average? Well, guess what? 87% of people are better than average drivers. Figure that one out. Okay, out of the same population, 87% are better than average. And what it is that we have a tendency to overestimate, because of course only 50% can be better than average. So naturally we overestimate how good we are at certain things, and we sort of underestimate how other people are. And we've got to get good at that. Back to the same time management. If things aren't happening, right, well then I'm probably not a 9 or a 10. I am actually a 5 or a 6. And it's important to realize that I'm here, not here, which means that actually I've got room to improve. And that's a great thing. So being realistic is really important when it comes to being compassionate, because I can look at myself and go, do you know what? I'm on every skill I have, I'm somewhere between 1 and 10. Every single one. I'm here on this one, really good. I'm actually pretty pants on that one, but I can learn and improve. Here, I'm middle of the road. I can also learn and improve. And if we can take that realistic pattern and view of ourselves, we can have a really good insight, which is actually, do you know what? I'm going to make the best use of the skills that I'm really good at. And the ones that I'm not that great at, I'm either going to improve them, but you know what? That's just how I am. I'll get some help. I'll get some of my team members to help me out. I'll get a bit of coaching, but I'm not going to beat myself up with it because I actually have other skills that I'm pretty good at. And that's the really important, realistic part about being compassionate. So that's it, self-esteem. Please, please, please don't listen to everyone who says build your self-esteem as a be-all and end-all. Hopefully you'll see that actually self-compassion is much more powerful. This is the one that will get you through life. This is the one that's saving you up, or is building up a ticking time bomb for you. Because if you're focused on this, I guarantee that you are going to have one hell of a fall coming up, and you already have more stress and anxiety in your life than you should have. So go for self-esteem, love yourself, be your best friend, but be very realistic about who you are and what skills that you have. So go ahead, achieve more, and really enjoy life.